This man's lungs. Sheesh. How's it going, folks? Jack here with another video, and
The end is
not just near, is right here, for this is the final video on this Kerbal space program, Scuffed program, damn it. This is going to be fun because we are dealing with all-out war. And also, thank you all for the great comments from the last video. There were some corrections as well for those who were pretty attentive on not just some physics stuff, but also I seem to have confused, I think Eve, yeah, the purple planet, with a gas giant. My bad. But I'm just excited for this one. There has been made a clarification that, of course, a lot of the weaponry and also the moving at 4,000 times the speed of light are things that are modded in the game. So yeah, that's good to know. And besides, after uploading the latest video, at least after it was set to be public, Kerbal Space Program 2 got announced. So well, you'll see me play that next year when it comes out. And indie developers truly are the saving grace of gaming right now. But that said though, let us jump into today's video. Oh, picking up straight off where we left off. BFG division. Me Golden is a goddamn legend.
That's not
you
good.
better run. It seems like he's coming for you. The Ooga Booga talk. Oh, wow. He has an entire armada. My man made a guitar sound like the most violent of basses. This is the perfect music for this.
You know what?
Oh, come on.
I'm gonna go. Oh fuck. Oh shit. Oh fuck.
Now that is a bad teacher or professor.
Yeah, see you later, idiots.
No. Oh, great sound edit. Well, there goes the entirety of the Saudi Arabian budget. No, not the Wagadugu. How dare you?
Oh.
Well, he's
Hey,
long
guys.
gone.
Jimmy. Where'd he go? He drove away in his space car.
I like that one student who was actually enjoying the situation. Oh no, a couple of them. Surprise.
Wait. Wait. Can I at least have my phone?
No.
What? Oh, I mean, yeah, sure. Oh,
No, you can't give him his phone. What else can he invent doing that? Or, I swear to God, if you start looking up YouTube tutorials on how to escape a jail. I think this is actually a thing that was brought up in one of the Internet Historian's Q&A videos on his Incognito Mode channel.
Well, I'm just gonna watch some YouTube now. I guess you guys can leave.
Oh no.
True that.
He's actually going to do it.
This is the Lockpicking Lawyer, and what I have for you today is lock made.
Master Lock. The back rooms. Wow. Okay.
Wait a minute. Holy shit. It's my brand new plush line. That's right, boys. I've partnered up with Makeshift and made this little boy right here.
Wow.
Look at him. He wants to enter your house. That's right. Your very own frog in a suit. Kick him, crush him, dap him up aggressively. Don't lose sight of him. He'll sneak into your walls and won't stop knocking. Put him above you. Imposing. Striking. Dominant. This is a frog who thinks you are pathetic. Put him below you. Sad. Apathetic. And resigned to his fate. For real, this is the single highest quality plush I have ever seen in my life. The exterior is fleece. The suit is stitched on very well. The eyes are embroidered and hard. And
It's a dapper frog.
oh my god. You can own one of these boys today by clicking the first link in the description or that horrible, smelly, slimy pinned comment. Do it fast. After 30 days, they will no longer be for sale. Gentlemen, I have one goal with this campaign. Sell more plushes than this goddamn stupid cat. Look at it. This fucking stupid thing.
Oh my god, the eyes. Okay, my cat's not around, so I can't do a comparison, but Jesus.
What is wrong with it? Okay, that's kind of cute. This dumbass cat has sold over 1,500 plushes, and we need to sell more. Click that link in the pinned comment and buy it. I assure you, you will not regret your decision. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Oh. Is he going to try and recruit the Avengers? Or turn the entire school or classroom into
Oh shit.
his allies? Come on. Get back in there. Okay, that's genuinely well edited.
Hey guys. Fancy seeing you again. How you been? Sir, why'd you, run away?
Come on.
Anyway, we've set a course for Elu, which as you can see, is rapidly...
Okay, it
Oh,
explains
shit.
the beginning of the last video. Right.
And would you look at that? Back at the start of the last video, stranded on Elu. Kevin has gone ahead and destroyed pretty much every base I built with his giant armada. Ouagadougou, annihilated. Urk, dead. Obson Kerman, face down in a highly corrosive lake. Djibouti, it's seen better days, and most importantly, he's murdered all the Kerbals in the KSC and taken it over for himself. Gentlemen, the Bean Space program is in shambles. All thanks to this rat bastard. Today, we're not building rockets.
You
We're
created
building
it.
weapons. Instead of
Oh.
fuel and oxidizer, we have gunpowder and high explosives. Instead of a noble quest to push the boundaries of discovery and science, we're here to kill, destroy, and conquer.
Oh man, he could have gone with a noble pun. Because Alfred Nobel, who famously invented dynamite. Yeah.
My sources tell me that Kevin is rebuilding the KSC and has taken its 96 billion funds to build up military bases on other planets. Some bases are large and some are small. Today we're going to destroy his shit-ass bases,
Dunk.
and then I will kill him. Personally. So, let us begin.
The Toxic Avenger.
Okay, so first off, we need a sit rep. Kevin has in fact noticed that his hangar is empty and is currently searching for us with several hundred drones. One of those drones happens to be near us. Another thing that happens to be near us is this, the last base we built. Kevin somehow forgot about
I
Ilu
remember
and
that.
didn't destroy it. So using this base, we can build a craft with weapons. Its goal will be to destroy the search drone driving around on Ilu's surface looking for us. But to do that, we must first learn about weapons.
These mods are insane.
War. Possibly the most ancient part of the human experience. Us apes have been killing each other for a very, very long time. And the first weapon used for this purpose was the humble rock.
Yeah.
And then we invented this thing, and these, and
The
some of those,
almighty
and bam, bam, bam,
bolter.
bam, bam, we invented chemical explosives. The topic of today's lecture. Now, how does an explosive work? Well, it's all about releasing a huge amount of energy in the shortest possible time. If you've ever thrown a log of wood in a fire, you'd know that it burns way too slow to be an explosive. But it does have a lot of energy. In fact, if you were to somehow release all the energy in the wood at once, it would be the equivalent of 14 M67 grenades. So,
Whoa.
energy matters. And time matters, which is where explosives come in. A chemical explosive is a substance that can undergo a chemical chain reaction in a very short period of time. Now, all these explosives do is release hot, expanding gas, which you wouldn't really expect to be able to do this.
Oh man. This has the potential of going into crazy territories. He was harvesting antimatter the other day. Oh no.
So, to kill Kevin's little search drone, we'll get a nice fat bomb, strap it to something innocuous, and detonate it once it's close. For this job,
Something innocuous. A stroller. Look, perhaps just because I recently became a dad, but that just rings completely different.
we'll use this. A stroller. To prevent suspicion, we need a brave Kerbal volunteer to act as the baby. Otherwise, our plan would be far too obvious. The plan is simple. Drive up next to the drone and detonate the bomb. If we're seen, we play it cool and act as if we're just another baby in its stroller.
Right.
Okay, enough talking. Let's go blow some shit up.
Great. Just great.
Excellent. The threat has
Still
been
have
eliminated.
some wheels going
Even
there.
better, many parts of the drone are undamaged and can be salvaged for our use in our next mission.
Okay.
In particular, the radar and the guns. This will be quite useful because our next target is a satellite in low Ilu orbit.
But
first, guns.
Smart, because now he can use Doppler effect to like find wherever the positions are and shoot them down.
How do they work? It's pretty simple.
Okay, he's
Gunpowder
perhaps also
explodes,
going to explain
hot gas
that.
expands, pressure builds up behind the bullet, which pushes on it, and the bullet is shot out of the barrel at high speed. Guns have been around for quite a long time. But they used to look like this, and were pretty shit. These old muskets required you to carry around two separate pouches for gunpowder and bullets. The powder would be poured down the end of the barrel, and the bullet will be placed on top. Then you get a big old stick and compact the powder and bullet, remove the stick, pour a bit of powder in this thing called the pan, cock the musket, full cock. And finally, you could shoot.
It's hilarious because like during the flintlock times, basically when they would like do those honorable duels, it was basically just a time for them to like verbally assault one another rather than actually harming each other physically. But the area where my parents lived, there was this street that is called Busse med Girl. So it's in Danish. So the word Busse in Danish can mean gun, but it also means gay. So gay gun. So the entire meaning of that word, of that street, is gay maker street, gun maker street, because there was no gun factory in that area. Just like how you know certain words in your head as a kid, like when you acquire certain sentences or words, you will constantly repeat them so that they like stick with you. Like for example, hypothetically. The same thing with these couple of words that he just said. Full cock was something that I will say whenever I pass that street. So just completely useless information for you to know.
One bullet. Then you'd have to do that all over again. Eventually, someone realized that shooting once every 20 seconds was less than ideal, and proper bullets, clips, belts, and magazines were invented. These could feed a gun as fast as its operator could chamber a new round. But this is also far too slow. What? Instead of manually operating the bolt like a peasant, people realized that the recoil of the gun could do that for you. And thus, the machine gun was born. Now, bullets
Yikes.
don't actually have that much kinetic energy, but they deploy it in a fraction of a second. Take this 50 BMG round. 50 BMG rounds can do this.
Ooh.
Pretty impressive. Since the bullet is 45 grams and exits the barrel at 908 meters per second, we can use this equation and some quick maths to
That's,
figure out that it only
on the-
has about 18 kilojoules of energy,
5 calories.
or 5 calories. So, we've got a gun, now we need...
You know what? It doesn't actually matter if you've done physics or not. When you get so attuned with certain things, some calculation becomes easy. Like in bodybuilding, when doing that, you just have like your calories down. Like for example, this is the equivalent of 100 Snickers, because a Snicker is nearly 500 calories, 480 more precisely. But yeah, it completely changes the concept of a calorie is a calorie when you can just take a BFG bullet instead.
We need some way of aiming it. If I take this gun and try shoot down something passing overhead, this happens. The gun is aiming at where the plane is, rather than where the plane will be, and isn't leading its shots enough to get any hits. To lead our shots properly, we need to know the target's speed, distance, and direction it's traveling in. This is where radar comes in. Radar waves are simply another form of light with a much longer wavelength.
Or
If we
radar.
shoot a bunch of radar waves at our target, a short amount of time later, we'll receive them back. Since we know how fast light travels, we can work out how far away an object is by measuring the time between sending and receiving the signal and dividing that by 2.
Yeah.
We can also tell how fast it's moving by either taking its position at 2 points in time and finding the distance it covers, or by using what's called the Doppler effect. Basically,
we go.
since the target is moving at a different speed than our radar, the radar waves it reflects will either be a little bit stretched or a little bit squished. Now, if we combine this funky radar technology with our gun, we get this.
Redshift.
The Goalkeeper CIWS.
I'm not actually sure if he did that willingly or not. The colorization of it, because taking a little bit of a liberty to make a drawing here, because in physics, or at least more specifically in astrophysics, when we're talking about objects, usually galaxies that are far away, we're just taking the radio wave that we get, like the wavelengths of light, and we usually determine whether or not something is redshifted, meaning that it's moving away from us, or blue shifted, which means that it's coming closer. So that's why I thought about the colors right there. But when it comes to the Doppler effect, it actually explains us the nice phenomenon of how like reaction speed can be, because what we definitely want to have is determining both the position and the speed at which the object here, the jet, Top Gun style. And this we do, of course, by finding the frequency. The frequency itself is, of course, given in hertz, which is 1/2. And in order to find the position, we need to time this with a velocity that will be in meters per second, right? To get our delta x, which is just the position or the distance between us and it. So what the Doppler effect aims at giving you is a frequency that you are observing, from which you can then determine several other things, give it a feedback to your cannon, railgun, whatever it is that you have equipped on your ship, on the ground, your base. But this takes into account a frequency from a source, a speed here, which is the speed of sound, that is around 343 meters per second at 20 degrees, which we thereafter have to correct for the speed of the observer and the speed of the source. So this is obviously going to be 0 because our satellite is just standing still, and we have 343 on both sides. And given the example, or at least what he found out previously, we have like 100 meters here. So by looking at this fraction alone, you know why it is that we are not hitting our target correctly and why we need to make these corrections, because regardless of what this frequency ends up being, we're getting something higher, we're observing something higher. And just to put that in perspective, when you are hearing a car alarm or something like that, a siren from a police car or an ambulance, it goes around 100 to, I think, 800 to 900 hertz. The same thing also applies for trains. But when we're talking about planes, we're talking megahertz, into hundreds of megahertz. But then something even funnier, 5G, for example, right? How much do you think 5G is worth? Well, that's about 300 gigahertz. That's up to what it can reach. And that's around the threshold of the visible light spectrum. If you remember your light going from the ultraviolet, which is the smallest, to the infrared. But what's even greater is that those numbers within the light spectrum begins then at around the terahertz. Now, I specifically thought about this, of course, because there was this whole spread of 5G in the solar system of Kerbal in episode 2, but also because during the quarantine, that was a huge mess that people were complaining about, that, oh, 5G is doing this and that. No, it won't even harm you.
Radar allows the gun to track a target, find its range and speed, and then aim at the exact spot it'll be once its bullets reach there.
Yep.
And, would you look at that? One CIWS ready to go. All we need to do now is wait for that pesky satellite. Alright, next up, we're going to commandeer an ore tanker coming from one of Kevin's mining outposts on Bob. Now thus far, we've remained undetected, and I'd like to keep it that way. So instead of something big and flashy, we're going to build a ship with a laser weapon thing and a single Kerbal on a seat.
Oh.
The laser will destroy the guard drone, and the Kerbal will take over the tanker with the help of a very special weapon. This beautiful craft will be named
Throngus.
So let's go. Now the guard drone is dead, we dismount our Kerbal and send him in.
Oh no, the flamethrower. It's a goddamn menace.
And the ore tanker has been secured. Now we can take it back to base and use its ore to make more mining stations to build our crafts even faster. But first, we've used guns. But what if I told you that we don't need gunpowder to accelerate our little projectile? Railguns. Regular guns use good old expanding gas to move projectiles, but railguns use magnetic fields and electricity. But why bother? Regular guns are just fine. It's all about speed. That 50 PMG round I was talking about earlier
Lorentz
could
force.
go at 908 meters per second. That's pretty dang fast, right? Yes. But if you want to go faster, then you're out of luck. Gas-powered weapons rely on how fast the gas is physically capable of expanding, and 908 meters per second is approaching the upper limit. But railguns don't have an upper limit. In fact, the only limit on their speed is how much power you can dump into the system.
Yeah.
So how do they work? Well, you get two conductive rails and put the projectile in between them, which completes the circuit. Once you fire, a huge amount of power is delivered from capacitors into the rails, which creates an incredibly powerful magnetic field and launches the projectile forwards.
Great thing in electromagnetic classes is that you'll have a bunch of physics students just throwing out gang signs, trying to pretend whether or not they were Crips or Blood. Because, as he showed in the previous picture, you have these rails here wherein the bullet will be located here. So since it's moving perpendicularly to it, you need to adjust for two things, that being the magnetic field as well as the current. They invented this right-hand rule, which is really easy to use to remember how it is that the three operate. So you have on your thumb is the force, and your index finger or your trigger finger is the current, and your middle finger will be the magnetic field. So you need to adjust how they run in each direction to have the bullets going in its right direction. And of course the force is something that we call the electromagnetic force or the Lorentz force, and they only truly rely on how much power you can put into it. Like how last year, I think it was then that the US military finally ended the program on trying to make a super railgun. They invested about $500 million on that. Yeah, and that was not just for making the gun, that was constantly pumping power into that thing, and that is costly.
The rails, which creates an incredibly powerful magnetic field and launches the projectile forwards. These bad boys have been able to shoot projectiles at over 2,500 meters per second, which in KSP terms is orbital velocity.
Yeah.
What we're going to use this technology on is this. Kevin has basically stolen the Ouagadougou design and placed it in dual orbit to collect antimatter for his fleet. Now, if you remember last video, you know that per kilo, antimatter is pretty much the most explosive thing in the universe.
It's not good.
And since Kevin's collector has a fair amount of it in storage, that makes this craft quite vulnerable. He's tried to cover for this fact by armoring up the area around the antimatter container, which is where our new railgun system comes in. The best way to cut through armor is to move faster, and railguns definitely make stuff move faster. Perhaps all we need to do is sneak in a small ship with a railgun, aim it at the antimatter storage, sit back, and watch the single, very big gamma ray firework. For this job, we've come up with this beautiful craft. Peebus. So, let's go.
Yo, that's a crazy explosion he's trying to... Oh, it's gone.
Yeah! So far, the weapons that we've been using have been pretty baby. Sure, setting off an antimatter container creates an enormous explosion, but we don't have any antimatter, and we can't really make it. But what we do have is uranium. Uranium, of course, can be made into bombs.
Okay.
Nuclear bombs.
Little boy.
Nuclear bombs operate on a fairly simple principle. Fission, or the splitting of atoms. You split apart atoms, split atoms release energy and other particles, which go and split more atoms. This releases an enormous amount of energy.
Yeah.
Nuclear weapon yields are measured in kilotons or megatons, referring to the equivalent amount of TNT that you'd need to detonate to match it. Now, the way you actually go about doing all this is the tricky part. There's only one natural element that's fissile, that being uranium. But uranium is pretty common, and by itself not very good for making bombs with. What you really need is a special isotope of uranium, uranium-235. The most common form of uranium, U-238, can't sustain a nuclear chain reaction, but U-235 can. The only problem is 99.3% of natural uranium is 238, whereas U-235 only makes up 0.7%. In order to make our bomb, we need to enrich this uranium from 0.7% to over 80%. This is very difficult, because chemically they're almost the exact same. The only useful difference is that U-238 has 3 more neutrons, which makes it ever so slightly heavier. The first machine used to enrich uranium was this, the Calutron, a mass spectrometer which enriched 0.7% uranium to 25% uranium.
The beautiful thing about me having to edit these videos post is that when looking at the pictures and or things that I want to add into the videos, is that I end up in this like weird what do you say, rabbit hole of knowledge. Like, for example, how this was made by a member of the Manhattan Project, or at least invented by a Ernest Hemingway. Bruh. That is just so wrong. New book from the famous novelist Ernest Hemingway after 70 years since The Old Man and the Sea comes the newfound sequel, The Old Man and the Sea and the Fission Detonator. That book would be the bomb. No, but it was made by Ernest Lawrence, that's his name. And this thing, kind of similarly to the railgun that I talked about before, also cost around, I think it was then 600 million. Sorry. And that adjusted to today's money is about $10 billion.
Rate of 50 micrograms per hour. This would take 20,000 hours or 2 years of continuous operation to make 1 single gram. It worked by shooting an ionized beam of uranium through a magnetic field. This magnetic field would deflect the beam into a collector.
And just to clarify, before people come and attack me for saying that I say waste, it's because we have so much actual nuclear waste. At least in the US alone, I think it's about 80,000 tons. So it is difficult to get rid of.
Since the U-238 is slightly heavier, it was deflected less than the U-235, which meant you could separate the two just a little bit. The U-235 for the Manhattan Project was made using this method, and thousands of calutrons were built, but later dismantled for better methods, like the gas centrifuge. These bad boys take in uranium hexafluoride gas, put it into a centrifuge spinning thousands of times per second, and using the slight difference in mass, a very slightly more enriched stream of gas comes out. This needs to be repeated many thousands of times. And then you get highly enriched uranium hexafluoride, which you can process later into uranium metal. Now that we've got the stuff, we need to find a way to make it go boom. The first nuclear bomb used in war, the Little Boy, used a gun design, where one part of the U-235 was shot into another using chemical explosives. Once the two parts combined, they became critical, and a nuclear chain reaction began. This was the second ever nuclear detonation and was fairly primitive by today's standards. Pretty much every nuclear weapon these days is a thermonuclear weapon. Thermonuclear bombs are a two-stage design where a regular fission bomb explodes and sets off a secondary fusion stage. That's right, they use a nuclear bomb to detonate an even more powerful nuclear bomb. Pure fission bombs can at most achieve 500 kilotons of yield, whereas thermonuclear bombs can go from several hundred kilotons to tens of megatons. The largest of these devices was the Soviet Tsar bomb, which exploded with a yield of 50 megatons. However, the design of this bomb called for a 100 megaton yield.
Think about that. They thought to themselves, you realize that we can destroy the Earth? Yeah, maybe we should just scale a little bit.
Which was scaled back once they realized that that was dumb. Anyway, we're going to use all this funky nuclear technology and stick it in this. The B-83 nuclear bomb, a thermonuclear device with a maximum yield of 1.3 megatons. Our delivery vehicle will be this, a hypersonic interplanetary missile. Our target is Kevin's Laythe base, which is well defended with surface-to-air missile batteries and patrolling aircraft. It'll speed towards Laythe, turn on its air-breathing engines, fly low to avoid detection by radar, and deliver our little present to the base. So, let's launch.
Okay, mid-hook is another great choice. This is all Doom Eternal. The drop. Oh. Christ.
Nice. Moving closer to Kerbal, we have the planet you forgot exists. Dres. This planet is unremarkable. And of course, Kevin forgot to put any sort of military presence there whatsoever. We're going to use this blind spot to build up a very large presence, using the minerals in its surface to construct the weapon. A very special weapon. But that'll take some time and a lot of mining drones. Moving even closer, Duna, where Kevin has a fairly sizable presence, a base with a few tanks and a whole bunch of surface-to-air missile sites. In some simulations, this base proved to be a tough nut to crack. I tried a helicopter, but Duna's atmosphere was prohibitively thin. I tried some tanks, but Kevin's battalion outgunned us very easily. I tried this high-speed bomber, which was shot down immediately. But then, I had an idea. You see, nuclear warheads underwent many design iterations during their development. Increased power, deliverable versions in bombs, and smaller warheads. One such development was this, the W9.
Oh, what's it called again? The gun that was used to fire it. That's the name of a League of Legends character.
What?
Annie?
This warhead was small enough that it could be loaded into an artillery shell and fired out of a gun. This gun was called Atomic Annie, and could fire this projectile up to 30 kilometers away. The warhead itself had a yield of 15 kilotons, which was equivalent to Little Boy. Now, this cannon is
I've made that joke before.
Great, but it's vulnerable to aeroplanes. Lucky for us, though, Kevin assumed that Duna couldn't support any planes since it has no oxygen, and didn't investigate further than that, so no planes to worry about. All we need to do now is send it over. So let's go.
Yeah, sure. Let's just make the damn gun fly over. Science. Bless the modding community for making things like this. Ooh.
Wonderful. Gentlemen, I think it's time we scale things up. Moving back to Dres, as you can see, we've mined a lot of stuff and completed production of our special weapon. An engine. A really, really big engine. But where to move it? We've taken Jewel and Duna. I don't want to destroy Kerbal. And Moho, he's cool. This leaves one last target. Eve. I don't like Eve one bit, and Kevin has built a lot of stuff on it. SAM sites, surface bases, aircraft, orbiting platforms. But
What a mad
I don't
lad.
have to deal with that stuff, or with Eve, if it's not there. Gentlemen, start the engines.
What the hell? When he said the Cayutron, I literally was thinking that that is the most Transformers thing that I could think of. But then he had to do this. Hey Kevin, the dinosaurs sends their regards.
What the fuck? Turning our attention back to Kerbal, this is where the bulk of Kevin's force is. He has hundreds of planes, tanks, and drones. But at this point, so do we. And ours all happen to be stationed in orbit, ready to strike at any moment.
Perfect.
And now is that moment.
Whoa. Oh, what a nice callback.
Where the fuck is Kevin? I'm gonna fucking kill a little rat! Oh.
He's not there.
Holy fuck!
Wow. This man's lungs. Sheesh.
I smell something. Ah, Jesus Christ! You're an alien! I fucking knew it! You can't fool me, you little shit. I had you from day one. Alright, well. I'm just gonna go over here and punch in some numbers. Don't worry about it, Kevin. And start charging. Alrighty, Kev. I'm sending you back to Proxima Centauri. Clearly where you belong. So see you later, Kevin. May we never meet ever again.
Straight up crashing into it. Into the sun. Creating what? Is expanding rather fast. Wow. Active galactic nuclei. A black hole
And
is
that's
gonna
it,
come from
fellas.
that.
I'm done. I'm free. No more KSP. I'm going on holiday for about a month, but once I'm back, big things are coming. So get subscribed. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitch. Buy the frog. And I'll see you next time.
Oh, it was the greatest series ever. What an amazing experience. Wonderful, man. This was top tier. Like the last, what I was saying here, the last 5 minutes just turned out into a goddamn fever dream. Oh my god. But guys, thank you all so much for checking out this series and this very video here. It was an awesome ride. I'm definitely going to get into Kerbal Space Program, more specifically when the second one comes out. Perhaps I will warm up a little bit. But I mean, we only have so many months within the year and there are so many other games I want to check out. But definitely, if you still want me to react to some more of martincitopans videos, I'll definitely do that. That said though, wish you all to have a wonderful day. And of course, please do go and subscribe to his channel. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Bye.